There's a series of hands, using your own hands on your body with breath and energy and attention exercises that we do as part of the care with network spinal chiropractic. And it's called somato respiratory integration or body breath integration, these tools. And so the basics of that is so powerful. And we can just do that together right now. And
Yeah.
anybody listening can follow along. And so what you'll do is you'll bring one hand on top of the other, and you bring those two hands to your upper chest. And then with your hands there on your upper chest, and this is intentionally not on the throat and not on the heart, but kind of on that flat spot in between. And that's because it's a more neutral place. Like throat and heart are more, they're energy centers, and they're also more emotional. So this kind of flat neutral place on the ribs is a good place to start. What you do is close your eyes. And you're going to breathe in your nose and out your mouth. And you're just going to take a couple breaths in this place, in your nose and out your mouth, directing the breath and the movement and your energy and attention under your hands. And just seeing what it's like to breathe here. Is this a place that you can feel and connect with, or does it feel hard to breathe there? Once you get a sense of that spot, the second place is right where your ribs open. Right here. One hand on top of the other in that spot. So the top part of my thumbs is on the bone, and then the pinky side is kind of on the belly. And just taking 2 breaths, 3 breaths there in your nose and out your mouth. And then noticing, is it easier to connect and breathe here? Does it feel more available? Or is it more work than the first one? And then the third spot is right over your belly button. And same idea. Taking a couple breaths in your nose, out your mouth, feeling the movement, the rise and fall of the belly, the energy there, breath there. And just seeing how this one ranks, if it's easy or more work. And then bringing your hands to whichever of the 3 felt the easiest. So for me, that was the upper chest. And so just scanning, just checking in, taking 2 or 3 breaths in each of these places and looking for which one is the most connected already starts to regulate and change your nervous system. Because when we're in a stress state, we are scanning for what could go wrong. We're scanning for pain. We're scanning for what doesn't work. The nervous system scans 4 times a second. Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? Right? So by placing our hands on our body and paying attention to what's happening, breath, movement, energy, and which one feels the easiest, and finding that, and then coming to whichever one, even if it's relative ease, even if they're all kind of hard, but one of them is easier than the others, it's that kind of spiral thing we're talking about starts to change the direction where the system starts to seek more ease and build on it. And so you can really ground and center and stabilize, even if you're in a really overwhelmed moment like that. And the other thing I'd say is that these 3 places are where we teach it first, because they're easy to feel breath and movement with the respiration because it's on your torso, but you can do this anywhere. So it could be that you put your hands over your eyes and take a couple breaths, and that's where you feel more ease. It could be that you kind of wrap your arms around yourself kind of like a hug, and your hands are here. It could be that you place your palms on the top of your thighs, on your lap. So just know that you can use any part of your body. It's just easier to kind of feel breath, movement, and energy in these places. And then the second layer, so even just that, just checking in with the 3, seeing where is ease available, and then bringing your hands to wherever ease is available for a couple breaths is very grounding and stabilizing. Then to take that a step further, you can go back and forth between the place that's most connected and the place that's least connected. So for me, the most connected, easiest, most effortless was the chest, and more work was the middle one. So what that would look like is taking 2 breaths, so whichever one, Jaclyn, for you was the easiest, taking 2 breaths there. And then moving your hands to whichever one was the most work. And then when you touch that spot, we're just going to acknowledge it with words. Like, sometimes I get so disconnected. And so even if you're all by yourself, you'd say that out loud. Sometimes I get so disconnected. And take one breath there. And then come back to the easiest one. And you can repeat that cycle 1, 2, 3 times, where you start with where the ease is, do 2 or 3 breaths in the easy spot, and then 1 breath in the place that was the hardest to connect with a statement of sometimes it feels like, sometimes it seems like. And so a good way to start is sometimes I get disconnected, just acknowledging that, and that place it's harder to feel. But then you can also fill that in with any statement. So things that are like, sometimes I feel overwhelmed. Sometimes it feels like nothing works. Sometimes it feels like this is never going to end. Another really powerful thing to do is when you touch that place that's harder, just imagining if it could speak, what it would say. So that's like just a little bit more advanced in as you're practicing this. Just recognizing a place is disconnected is great to start, and acknowledging it. Sometimes I get disconnected. But then as you deepen this practice, you can use the place there where you have connection to start to tune and regulate the places that are struggling. And so when you touch that place that's not as available, and if it could speak, what could it say? And be amazed at what will come up and bubble, just trusting what your body will reveal to you. And sometimes you're like, wow, I didn't know I was feeling that way, because your body is so intelligently protecting you from anything that might feel like too much. So when we can find the grounded, connected place and then go hunt for those things that are kind of wrapped in disconnection, and go like, wow, I'm going to peel back that layer and feel that all this tension drops out of your body. One of the ways I describe it to people when it's new is, I don't know if you've ever had the experience when you're upset about something and maybe you're just not sharing it with anybody yet, but you run into somebody who knows you really well and they take one look at you and go, oh my God, are you okay? You like burst into tears. Okay. It's like that for our body. Our body will tighten physically, structurally, mechanically, will hold around feelings and sensations and experiences that are uncomfortable. And so when we go and touch that place that's tight or inflexible or it's hard to breathe in, and acknowledge, oh yeah, sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes I don't got it. Sometimes it feels like everyone's out to get me. Sometimes it feels like I'm so unlovable. Then the body goes, oh, okay, you can see, I don't have to protect you from that anymore. And there's this unbinding of energy. And it's not that felt experience has much energy, but there's lots of energy being spent kind of in the wrapping around that to protect you from that sensation or feeling. So when we go in and go, oh yeah, I see that, it feels like that sometimes, then all that energy that was kind of protecting that is liberated. And so this is a really powerful way when we're in an energy poor place or we're struggling and it's an energy crisis. We need energy. We can liberate the energy that we already have that's being spent in disconnection, then becomes available. And then that little upward spiral starts to happen where I have a little more energy. So I choose to make myself a salad for lunch instead of call DoorDash. And then I have a little bit more energy and I go to bed earlier, and then I wake up feeling more refreshed and I feel more positive. And so, that spiral starts to happen, and you can change that just with your own hands on your body.